Hi again. So, I hope you remember what we just discussed, right? We were discussing about the objectives of HRM and importance of HRM and why it is important in the corporate world in today's time. And then I hope you remember that now we are going to start with the functions of human resource management. Right, last time in the last slide I think we just discussed the scope of HRM, and I told you that whatever the different functions are there, right, whatever the scope is covered by HRM, that will be discussed in detail when we will be discussing the functions of human resource management. So here, as you can see on the slide, there are two functions. So basically the functions of human resource management is divided into two broad categories. So one is managerial functions and the other is operative functions. So when we are talking about managerial functions, like these are the functions that you have known. Like again, I will refer to the production principles of management as a subject, because these are the functions, managerial functions, that you must have discussed in details, and HR certainly has a role to play in discussing or understanding these functions. So first thing is planning. Planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, these are the most important elements or functions in any business, right? Without these things it's not possible to run the business. So HR also has a role to play in all these managerial functions. Why do we call them managerial functions? Because these functions certainly are defined and taken care of by a managerial level person or an executive level person. Let's say planning. So who's going to plan? Like employees at all the levels cannot do the planning, right? Only the top management will have certain goals in mind, and depending on that, plans will be made, to ensure that uh, you have enough resources, be it human resource or be it finance or be it other resources, so that you can achieve your goals, whatever the organizational goals are there. So when we are talking about these managerial functions, the first thing is planning, right? If you're having some target that you want to become the highest or the biggest player in any particular industry, and you have some goals, let's say you are into production and you want that this year we are going to produce 1 lakh units of whatever, let's say washing machines, 1 lakh. Then you need to plan. You need to certainly plan everything, right? You need to plan, first thing, from where will you gather the finance, how many employees will be needed to ensure that that you have enough people to take you through the production process. Then you need machineries. So basically everything you need, men, material, machineries, everything you need, right? So I'm not going too much in detail because you've already learned this, but all I want to point is the what is the role of HRM over here. So nowadays what happens is, whenever company is making any plans, they also ensure that a representative, mostly a senior level individual from the HR department, is also part of that those decisions, which are important for the business. Earlier HR was not given so much importance. We just saw like the difference between human resource management and personal management, and we saw how one is proactive and one is reactive in nature, and what role was what roles were played in the personal management. Mostly it was all about the administrative task that was pursued by the personal manager, the person responsible for that. But compared to that, since the HR department started gaining prominence, after that, whatever important decisions were taken, the representative of HR, mostly let's say the director of HR, or the HR manager, they were involved in the decision making, because they would exactly know what is the situation of people in the organization. They would know what kind of skills and what kind of talented employees are there, who will help you to achieve your goals. They will know what is the capacity of these individuals. That person will know whether you can train the existing individuals working in your organization, who will help you to perform something better. Or if you are planning, let's say, to introduce a new line of production, a new product in the market, so you need people who are aware about production, or usage of that product. So many times you don't have to hire new individuals from the market, but what you can do is you can train the existing employees, but you can train them only if they are capable enough, to be trained. So the HR representative will know what kind of skill inventory we have, what kind of HR resource, human resource we have in the organization. So that's why in planning, HR will also play its role. Likewise in organizing, organizing everything. Likewise in staffing also, means same thing. How many employees are needed in the future? So do you have enough employees to take you through the production process, right? If not, then what is the gap? Sometimes there is a skill gap, sometimes there is an individual gap, so there are different kind of gaps. So at least the HR will play its role in ensuring that you have enough number of people to fulfill enough responsibilities for the best role which is to be played. So likewise staffing is very important, then directing as well as the controlling function also. So these are the important managerial functions which you have learned so far. So HR has an important role to play, and we call them managerial functions where HR is playing its role. Now moving on to the operative functions, certain other functions which are specifically taken care of by the HR, they are known as the operative functions. So I'm just going to read which are the operative functions. First one is procurement, second one is development. So I hope you remember that when we were discussing about the definition of HR, you must have read these words, so I told you that this is what the HR is all about. It's forming the definition, but it is actually the function of HRM. So when we are talking about the operative functions, first thing is procurement, means to hire. Second one is development, means to train. Third one is compensating them because they are giving their time and efforts and skills. And fourth one is maintenance and motivation, which is also needed. So HR will play a very important role in ensuring that you are motivating your people, to work in the organization, and you're able to retain them in the organization. And then comes the integration part, and then comes the IR. So integration and industrial relations, they are more about working, maintaining good relationship in the organization, so that there is more cordial relationship, and there is a more like harmonious environment in the organization. Everybody respect each other, everybody support each other, everybody help each other. So that's how industrial relations work. So these are the operative functions. Now this is just the name, but there are so many sub categories in the operative function. So let me take you through that. See, when we are talking about operative functions, so many functions are given over here. I will take you through each one of them and we can discuss. So first thing is procurement. Now what do we mean by procurement? So whenever and this is the first and in fact the very common, very basic, but the important role of an HRM, because HRM is what exactly human resource management does. So what they do is they ensure that whatever resources are needed, mainly we are talking about human resource, um, all the times you have enough people in the organization. So procuring, it in general term it involves all those activities which are involved in obtaining, in general it means obtaining goods and services for a company, but here when we are talking about HR, it involves obtaining or procuring or hiring human resources in a company, so that whatever support you need for your daily operations, right, that is fulfilled. So that is about procurement. So in this particular area, procurement, you will see different subsections, and these subsections are part of the chapters. So first thing, for example, is job analysis. Now see, before you hire somebody, before you hire an individual in the organization, right, you need to know how many employees are needed, and you need to know for what work are you hiring the employees. Now suppose I'm starting a new business and I feel that I want to form a team. So in order to form a team, right? Just for the sake of forming a team, that I alone cannot run the business, I need to have 5 more people with me. And I gather a team, and now imagine the situation, I don't even need 5 of them, but still I have 5. So that will create ultimate chaos in the organization. So that should also not happen. So what is important for me is to have a clarity about why do I need individuals in the organization. So this first function, job analysis and design. Job analysis will analyze the job. When we will discuss this thing in detail whenever we are discussing this chapter. But when we are talking about job analysis, so job analysis, through different techniques, we will collect the data about the job. We will understand what the entire job is all about. The job, what tasks are to be done, what responsibility has to be taken, right? Or the person who is doing this particular job, what kind of skills and qualifications are needed in that individual, what kind of skills or abilities or qualifications, or what kind of knowledge should a person should possess who's performing that task. So everything you will get to know when you will analyze the job. So you exactly know that in this particular job, let's say, when if we are trying to analyze the job of an IT manager, right, then you will exactly know what task and what duties a IT manager is supposed to do. So once you know a person has to fulfill or do this 7 task or 8 task, a person should be thorough. Person should have the knowledge of those 7 8 tasks. Then at least you know what kind of individuals you are looking for, right? Everything is very clear. In fact, you must have seen the ads, for your jobs. You must have seen on LinkedIn, you must have seen in the newspapers, like whenever there is a job advertisement, right, they mention that a person should be capable of doing point number 1, point number 2, point number 3, point number 4, right? They mention it. That means whatever a person has to do, those tasks are very specifically mentioned. So if you feel that, yeah, I know all these things, or I'm capable, I'm confident, yeah, I'll be able to do this job, then you should go and apply for that job. But they don't want to waste time, that's why they always specify what they are looking for, right? So when you do job analysis, when you analyze the job, you exactly know what is that job all about. So that is part of procurement, because once you know that thing, then only you are going to hire. So before you hire, there is another second function, human resource planning. Again, there is entire chapter which we are going to discuss in detail. So what is human resource planning? Now see, human resource planning, as the name suggests, you are planning about HR, right? Let's say in the next 1 year, how many employees will be needed to perform this job? Now we have already done job analysis, so we exactly know how many employees are needed to perform that particular job, right? So when we do HR planning, we would know that, okay, in this department I will be always needing 15 employees. Now after 15 employees, you can just see the past trends, that every year, let's say every year 3 employees leave the organization and go, on an average. That's the trend that you have seen. So then that means next year also you can plan that 3 employees might leave. Now if 3 employees are leaving out of 15, that means my production process or the service that I am offering, something will get disturbed. To avoid that thing, what I want is that I should very well in advance find out the sources from where I will be able to hire more people. Sometimes what can happen is, even though remaining 12 out of 15, they will be capable enough to work overtime and work on behalf of the other 3 which left. So then that means you can plan that for this much time duration these people will manage, these are the sources from which we will be able to hire the individuals, right? Sometimes what happens is, there are 15 people in the organization who are working towards one particular job, and your ideal requirement is 12, or let's say your ideal requirement is only 13. That means 2 employees are in excess. Now those 2 employees who are extra, which we don't need actually in that department, they can be diverted to somewhere else, because they're just wasting time, right? People only the work where only 13 employees are needed, 15 are working, that means 2 is getting wasted, right? And you are paying more unnecessarily, because they were actually not needed to perform that job. So that means two can be diverted somewhere else. So when we are talking about HR planning help you in doing all these things. HR planning will ensure that you have sufficient people, at all the times, to fulfill your HR requirements. So if there is a shortage, you hire. If people are in excess, then you divert them to other work, so that you don't do this wastage. So this exercise will also is also part of procurement. After that, you recruit. Now let's say there is a shortage, there are 15 employees needed, you have only 12, 3 have left. That means if there is a shortage, you hire, recruit more people, right? Recruitment, you start advertising, selection, find out the best people who are part of the process. Then comes the placement, means right person at the right job, for the right job, right? So you placement, put them in the right department, allow them to do the work in which they are specialized. Then you will be able to take more benefit out from them. Then comes the orientation part and socialization part. So orientation, I think you must be familiar with this word. You go take the employees through the orientation, means make them familiar with the environment, with the people who are working in the organization. Help them socialize, help them understand who is responsible for what. So that is orientation and socialization process. So this is entire process. Procurement is basically a process from which helps you in hiring the employees and uh, keep them, like let them settle down in the organization. So that is about procurement. Now moving on to the second function, we are talking about development. So what do we mean by development? Now see, you are hiring individuals, obviously, who are skilled and talented. Obviously you are hiring skilled and talented people in the organization. But a person still needs some kind of training. So mostly it is a rule. Even if you are working, even if you are working working on the same profile, you are working somewhere else and now you have joined a new organization. Still, what will be different is rules will be different, right? Laws will be different, culture will be different, hierarchy will be different, responsibility will be different. So there will be lot of things which will be new for that person. Now if you just take that person through a small little training of, let's say, 2 days or 5 days or 1 week, and help them or teach them how work has to be done, what is the reporting authority, um, who they should be reporting to, what kind of work, how, and make them understand the system, then it becomes much much easier. And not just that, when you give training when a person is new and has newly joined the organization, but you also give them training whenever you feel training is needed. Let's say you are introducing new products in the market, so then that means they need training, right? Or let's say that end of the year, when you are doing their performance appraisal and you realize that person is not able to perform extraordinarily well, or person is not even able to perform his or her own task well, that means they need some kind of training, they need some kind of developmental activities. So you have to organize training programs as and how it is needed. And once training is done, then also comes the development part. So development is mostly, development is uh, done for senior level employees, because once they reach to a certain capacity, managerial level positions, then comes the development part, because then they are ready to take the leadership positions. And to take them through the leadership positions, they don't need technical training. Actually, they need to learn certain skills which are needed to become a manager. For example, you need to know how to take better decisions, so decision making is what you learn. You need to know how to work in a team, so team building is what you learn, right? You need to know how to convince people to do particular job, so convincing is skills is what you need to learn. You need to know that being a manager, you are supposed to take a decision related to so many different tasks. So then you need to know, as a manager, what should I prioritize, so that thing, so there are a lot of exercises, actually a lot of games, a lot of skill building exercises, which helps you to learn all these things, help you to become a good leader. So you learn leadership skills, you learn decision making skills, you learn convincing skills, and so forth, right? So development activities is where HR plays important role. I'm just going to read what are the subcategories. See, career planning and development, workers training, executive development, and organization development. So workers, you give training to workers, then whoever is executive level individual, you give them some kind of development, take them through the developmental exercises. Then there is something called organization development, which is the entire organization wide development exercise, which involves the entire organization from top to bottom. Everybody is part of it, and some major changes takes place in the organization. So that is about organization development. Third function we are going to discuss where HR is going to play its role is compensation. So this, mostly whenever you are determining some salary, monthly salary, who's calculating? CEO is not going to sit and calculate salary for everybody, right? So mostly it is done by HR department. It is the work, it is done by HR. It's not that HR is going to decide salary for everyone. Of course, there are some set rules that for certain level of position, certain positions, this is the salary that you're going to offer. So there are some packages which are very well predetermined depending upon the number of tasks that you're going to do, or depending upon how much work you're going to do in that particular role, right? Some bands are fixed, and you will always fall under that category. So it's not that HR is going to randomly decide. Yeah, for any senior level position, top management is always involved whenever you're deciding about what has to be paid, like how much commission, bonus, or wages or salary has to be paid. But compensation is something like calculating that, ensuring that end of the month, you are calculating the salary. You are if anybody has taken leave, then what about the investment? Let's say some deductions are there, that those deductions has to be taken care of. So all these things that will be taken care of by the HR. So in compensation, first thing, job evaluation will be there. This also we will see, right? HR will play its role in determining how much salary. So job, whenever you evaluate the job, right, from the name only you can understand little bit that job evaluation will evaluate the entire job and will help you decide how much a person should be paid. अब जब कोई काम ही 10,000 रुपीज़ का कर रहा है तो आप उसको सैलरी 20 तो नहीं देंगे. You already know कि इस जॉब के लिए इतना ही काम है, right? So then you can fix the salary that because a person who is performing this particular role, उसको इतनी सैलरी देनी है, तो ऑलरेडी जॉब इवैल्यूएशन से यू कैन डिसाइड दैट. Then comes performance evaluation. Like job evaluation, you try and evaluate the performance of the employee. Performance evaluation के basis पे ये पता चलेगा कि how is your performance, and depending upon that आपको कितना increment देना है, how much raise you deserve in your salary because you've really worked hard in the whole year. So that also can be decided. Then comes the wages administration. Wages, same thing, performance, wages and salary administration, and incentives and benefits. Apart from salary, how many incentives, what are the benefits should be offered to the employees, so that also need to be decided. So that is incentives and benefits. So this is the entire function area where HR is going to play its role. Then comes maintenance and motivation. So what is maintenance and motivation? This is something which is very important again. So in order to retain the employees within the organization, first thing, when will people stay for longer? Like आपने सुना होगा कि this person is working in this company since last 25 years, right? Somebody is working in this last 30 years and they are going to retire from the same organization after working for so long. Somebody is working in this organization since last 10 years, last 5 years. So why do you think person stays for so long? They stay for so long because they are happy and satisfied. They are happy and satisfied with the salary, first thing, right? Because nobody works for free. So first thing, they're happy and satisfied with the package compensation which they are getting. Second, they are happy and satisfied with the task which they are doing, right? With the work which they are doing. Third, they are happy and satisfied with the working environment. They are happy and satisfied with the seniors, with their colleagues, right? They are happy and satisfied with the growth opportunities which they are getting, right? Whatever end of the year, if they are getting some raise in their salary, that means they are getting enough raise, which is fine. They are happy and satisfied because of some good working environment, means whenever they need leave, at least the organization is respecting them, right? Their dignity is maintained, they are able to maintain work life balance. So all these things are important. See, so as an organization, it is the role of HR, not just the role of HR, but HR will definitely play its role in organizing such functions, in coming up with such situations wherein everybody is satisfied working in the organization. If you keep torturing somebody, if you keep complaining, and if you just don't be if you are very strict with somebody, or if you don't pay them enough salary, then nobody is going to work in the organization. So being an HR, maintenance and motivation is very important. What is part of it? First thing, employee well-being. Well-being of an employee, you have to ensure that employees well-being, health is taken care of. If they are not if they are sick, then you can't force them to come to work. They need to be given some rest, right? So employees well-being, mental well-being and physical well-being, both that should be taken care of. Then so social security, giving them social security. Then workers participation in the decision making, motivation. Then job rotation, rotating them from one job to another job. HR records, research and audit, HR information system, HRIS. So that's how maintenance and motivation, right? All these things, if everything is in place, then you will be able to retain them in their company. They will be motivated to work. So it is the role of HR to ensure that all these things are there. Let's say if there is some facilities are not there, then HR should go and talk to top management that we should be giving such kind of facilities to the employees. In fact, nowadays you must have seen that during the whole week, in fact, companies like Google, if you see their offices, companies like Google have such nice offices wherein they have gym also, they have play area also, they have meditation facilities also, they have cafeterias, they have libraries and everything for the employees, so that at least they find such environment in the organization that they are happy to work. You can't just torture the employees like 10 hours you work continuously. That's not possible. That will affect their productivity level. So just to ensure that employees are working well, they also get some break and all that. So HR plays its role. So this is what the entire maintenance and motivation is all about. And last one is integration. So in integration, we are trying to integrate different functions. We are ensuring that good relations are maintained between the individuals, between the top management and the unions and individuals. So there are certain topics, again these are part of our syllabus. Industrial relations, maintaining good industrial relations. Then discipline, then grievance redressals. If anybody has any grievances, then how do you help them? How do you redress those grievances? Then comes the dispute settlement. So if there are some disputes, then how do you settle those disputes? And collective bargaining, right? This is another function, collective bargaining. So how do you bargain collectively if there is some problem? Then how do you do? So these are different functions of HRM. We call them operative functions of HRM. I hope everything is very clear. Now again, all these things are our chapters, so we will be discussing these functions in detail. See, Google is a good example of a company that has done an exceptional job of recruiting and managing people who have critical knowledge skills. It needs talented people to perform well, and that translates into how they communicate about the kind of talent they are looking for and the jobs they offer. American Express, which has made the list all 3 years, takes the top spot in this year's list of top companies for HR as per the survey conducted in 16. Okay, so here these are just the examples of why a company is a good company. Why individuals or employees like to be part of that organization, because you are creating such kind of working environment for them that they are happy and satisfied working in that organization. So that is about so many organizations are there. As in how we move ahead in the chapter, we will be discussing these topics.